The government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws.
Before we talk about gun control, there is a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification of multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. If you like channel, like content, what I do, you can support me with the link. Everything's appreciated. Let's talk about this. And I waited a day, once again, because I thought about doing this video yesterday, but I hesitated. But now I feel more comfortable doing it. I'm referring back to what happened December 14th, Bondi Beach in Australia. 2 men fired on a crowd of people who were celebrating the Jewish festival. Killing 15, one of the shooters was also killed. The other one is basically recovering and is going to face charges. The Prime Minister, without hesitation a day later, came out and said, we need gun control.
Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals, a review of licenses over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licenses should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well.
I disagree. I think you have a larger problem that is not just in Australia. I think it's prevalent throughout the Western world. We have a problem with radicalized men. And it's not just Islam. There are also people who are radicalized from other aspects of life. Let's go back to Mangione, the man who shot the United Healthcare CEO. There's also this event at Brown University where a man walked into, it was a targeted event. It was definitely targeted because he went to a specific conservative group and just opened fire on them, then went to an MIT professor's home and shot him. He, strangely enough, has been found. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound in a storage unit in New Hampshire. But what is the theme here? They were all radicalized, and this is becoming a huge problem. Now, going back to Bondi Beach, not 5 days later, police got a tip-off that there was going to be another attack on that beach. That was on December 18th, that there was going to be another attack, and they obviously had detailed information because they ended up ramming 2 cars that had 7 men. They arrested all 7.
Australian counterterrorism police arresting several men a few hours ago. Officials say they were possibly planning a violent attack and were allegedly on their way to the site of last week's deadly shootings.
Brian, definitely some dramatic and potentially disturbing video. It was Australia's counter-terror police. They rammed 2 vehicles in Sydney. They say these 7 men were planning to carry out a violent attack. Police are clear at this point that there is no known connection between this planned attack and what happened here, the deadly attack on Sunday.
Now, they did not disclose who these men were. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what's going on here. And this has been a concerted effort across the board. But throughout the Western world, there has been a huge issue with radicalized people committing acts of violence, whether it be political violence, religious violence, social violence. But each and every single time you find the same theme. There is somebody who's been radicalized at the end of it. And they're not talking about it. They're not addressing it. Just as this second attack on Bondi Beach, they're not announcing who these 7 men were that they picked up. Brown University shooting. No information on the shooter. They showed some grainy video. They gave one of the worst train wrecks of a press conference I've ever seen.
Law enforcement is working to reconstruct that, but there would not be a formal law.
The camera in that building, the Brown put off because the sanctuary city law that we have, you don't want to record illegal immigrants, and you don't want to provide the footage to the FBI or immigration authority. One camera in that building, it come out from your detectives, they are friends of mine, they're angry at this investigation that these people in Brown University put the camera off, they can identify that person. You imagine how the family want to go through? Tell the truth to the media here. Putting cameras off.
We heard from both the Brown Police Chief and the Provost at Brown, who have shared that they have been fully cooperative and been forthcoming with all data and evidence that they have. The City of Providence's experience is the same, which is that Brown has been entirely cooperative and collaborative and fully sharing with us. We will be back here tomorrow.
Then they finally catch up on the guy, but people started pointing out that a pro-Palestine student, all of a sudden his entire profile on the Brown University website disappeared. And when questioned about it, once again, we got this aloof, roundabout answer.
Shooting, I believe some web pages for students or faculty have been taken down. Is that a response to any external threats to anyone in the community?
We have been working very closely with law enforcement to provide them with all of the internal to Brown information that they need to do this investigation. It's their investigation, they're the professionals. So we're providing information. We're not in the job of reviewing it for them. I know nothing about web pages being taken down as part of this. It's the first I've heard of it.
There is a huge issue that goes way beyond gun control that is being ignored. Especially young men are being radicalized to carry out violent acts. And it's not just with a damn firearm. Take you back to New Orleans.
This is a Fox News alert, and if you are just joining us, the FBI doing a terror investigation after last night and this morning's deadly terrorist attack that they're calling it that happened in New Orleans in the French Quarter on Bourbon Street as people were celebrating at about 3:15 in the morning. The FBI naming the suspect who was shot dead by police after opening fire at police there, 42-year-old Shamsud Din Bahar Jabbar. The FBI treating the incident as a, quote, act of terrorism, saying that a black ISIS Islamic flag was being flown at the back of the truck and that other individuals are involved.
15 people killed by a man driving an F-150 Lightning truck. Radicalized. Had an ISIS flag. These two shooters, December 14th, Bondi Beach. ISIS flag. They also had improvised explosives in their vehicle.
As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi, which we believe has several improvised explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that.
The son Naveem was also under investigation because of his connections to persons who are connected to extremist groups. I can go on and on. But what is their answer every single time something like this happens? Gun control. They don't address this mass migration of unvetted people into these Western countries. They don't address the extremism that some of these people carry and bring with them into these countries. Never an issue, never spoken of. These people commit violent acts, and when a firearm is used, what do they say? Gun control. Now, Albanese, he's no saint, because he actually was at a pro-Palestine rally. His hands are dirty also. And in his wisdom, Albanese decides we're going to have a national gun buyback program. Does he really think that the violent extremists who gather these guns together to commit these acts are going to participate in this buyback? Does he really believe that? Their answer every single time is we need more gun control. They parrot that here. They parrot it until you're tired of hearing it. But they never address the root causes of a lot of the violence that has been going on over the last 5-6 years, which has been extreme rhetoric, whether it be political, religious, social. The shooting at Brown University was a targeted event. The shooting at Bondi Beach in Australia was a targeted event. The second attack was a targeted event. They were heading to the same place to once again commit some violent act that, once again, we don't know much about. But apparently they had enough intel to go track these people down and arrest them. I can bring you back to 2025. 2 Jewish persons were killed in DC. The shooter was arrested. What was he screaming as he was being dragged away?
The suspect was later taken into custody and began chanting.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Brown University, when this person went into this room, he also shouted something that, once again, they're not disclosing what was said.
Now, there's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yes, part of the investigation, John, and we'll, yeah.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
That's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
Alex, follow up on John's question. Did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came in the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, my heart goes out to the victims, it goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And that, with that being said, we'll continue, and I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better, and my heart and soul goes out to them. So,
did he yell though?
So that's something that we're investigating. We took statements, and we have to confirm that.
So,
Mayor, a lot of a few questions for somebody.
we're gonna wrap it up here.
It's unfortunate that gun control has become the scapegoat. And, well, we have to say legal gun owners are becoming the fall guy for radical extremism that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.